So welcome back to The Couch. Super excited again for another episode of The Couch. Joining me ever since he was 25 years old, he's been growing various companies as a tech entrepreneur. From a startup IT service company back in 2008 through supporting a number of tech companies for right through to their dream exit or fundraising, right through to now in April, just recently this year, when he started PSOhub, helping professional services and HubSpot users to work even more efficiently. So joining me for our chat on The Couch today, direct from the lovely world of the Netherlands, Managing Director of PSOhub, René de Jong. Thanks for joining us, René.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning and good afternoon, wherever we are in this wonderful world, from Sydney to the Netherlands, the wonders of Zoom. So I wanted to kind of kick off, just to kind of set the scene for folks for The Couch. Today's customers, we all know, are more empowered than ever before. They've got higher expectations. They're more, authoritatively driving change throughout this, especially through the service industry, than ever before. I had a stat here that I'd share with you. Client expectations, they reckon, are increasing. The quality of work, 51%. The speed of service delivery, 50%. These are all the things that people are saying is changing in professional services. So it's very hard for professional services companies, I suppose, to keep up with these demands. How do you think these professional companies really need to start, I suppose, looking at technology in a way to help them?
Yeah, good question. As you mentioned in the intro, I've had my own companies, and some of them were professional services organizations as well. And what I always found very interesting is looking at ways to automate things and make my life as an entrepreneur a little bit easier. Because what I noticed is when I started my first company, I was using Excel for time tracking. I was using Word for making invoices. I was using various stuff. And throughout the years, new applications came into the scene. The cloud was really booming. And what I noticed is as a services company, to really scale, to really grow your company, you also need a scalable software environment which you're using. I mean, with Excel and with Word and all those other applications, you're not able to scale very well, and you're stuck with admin time. Your people are doing a lot of admin time. You as an entrepreneur are doing a lot of admin time. And instead of working for your company and growing your company, I was working basically in my company. I was busy with the day-to-day stuff. And that's what you see at a lot of organizations, service organizations. There's a lot of admin, there's a lot of stuff going around creating your business. But making it in a more scalable way and using software really enables you to increase your profitability and also make your company grow in a much faster way than using random stuff.
So I think that I was going to say, I think the term that's used, is it correct, is PSA, which is professional service automation. This is what we're talking about today.
Yeah, correct. So I think a year of 15 or 20 ago, the term professional service automation software was created. And it basically means that you bundle a lot of those software components and put them together within one tool. And that means that you do everything from project management, contract management, time tracking, expense tracking, and invoicing, all within one solution, instead of using 4 or 5 different solutions. And the main reason for companies to start using professional service automation software is that it integrates much better than when you use 4 or 5 different applications. And what's also nice to mention is that you see a change now at the smaller companies, because larger service organizations already have a lot of stuff in place, and there are solutions, larger solutions, which fit really well. But the small businesses, there was still a big gap there, and that's also the main reason why we started PSOhub. Because we noticed that those small organizations were forgotten, and weren't able to really automate their business properly to grow and to scale. So, so you see a change there in those small companies also wanting to automate their organization.
So what are the if we maybe just unpack that a little bit, what are some of the things that people can track? So, you know, in any small business, there's a lot of working parts. And you mentioned, interestingly, at the beginning, Excel spreadsheets. I know I've come across a lot of businesses that their sales team doesn't use a CRM, they use an Excel spreadsheet, which is very manual, and then that doesn't connect to something else. So maybe take us through, you know, what would a ideal business be kind of automating, or what could they automate?
Yeah. So what you see is in my opinion, as a tech entrepreneur, you can automate everything. And of course, it's always a balance of what fits with your organization and what fits with you as an entrepreneur. But what I noticed is what I like to automate is my whole funnel to cash. So what you see is a lot of organizations start with a CRM, and what they basically do is they automate their funnel to deal. So take HubSpot, for instance. HubSpot is fantastic, phenomenal if it comes to funnel to deal management. You can really easily create your contacts, companies, deals, work towards the deals. That's great. But what we see there is a missing link, because for many services organizations, it really starts when the deal is closed won, or maybe even before that. And once that deal is closed won, you want to start doing your project management and your contract management and your time expense tracking and your invoicing, and tying that all together. So using a CRM like HubSpot and using PSA software enables you to really automate not the funnel to deal, but the whole funnel to cash. The funnel to cash. That's basically the most important thing, I think, for companies, is to look at their business and see in what extent can I really easily automate my funnel to cash without having me doing a lot of admin work and without my people spending a lot of time on it.
So it makes perfect sense from a time management perspective, because you're obviously taking away those manual tasks now and automating them. But it's also, I suppose, in a way, creating a data field. Like you're being able to see how these dots are all connected. Is that right? Like you can actually see not only your deal stages like HubSpot does, but now you're actually starting to get some transparency around where your people are spending their time and, you know, the profitability of the company.
Yeah, well, many pain points for small businesses, but also large businesses are, okay, first of all, where are people spending time on? I mean, they don't have really good overview of that. Then there's the question, how are my projects doing? Are they going off rail? You see in many small companies that they find out that a project didn't go as well as planned after the project has been closed. So giving those insights is also something really important of automating your whole process. So having good management dashboards, also some predictive analysis is very important to see, okay, where's my business going? How is it growing? But also seeing, okay, how many projects do we currently have, and what are the successful projects, so the profitable ones, and on which ones are we losing money. So that way you can also start managing your business and see, okay, this client, we always go off rail with this client, and it gives you a possibility to do an analysis on where things are going off rail. And so that's of course the benefit of using software and creating that whole funnel to cash experience, because that way you can really start managing your business. And that's what I said at the beginning. When I started my business, I was really working in my business. But with the use of software, I'm able to do a step back and really look at the monitors and see, okay, what's happening at all those various places and with all those different people that I have employed.
And I would say as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously client experience, the customer experience would be improved as well, because if you're having transparency around your team and what they're working on and they're more efficient, the outcome must be the client experience at the end. The customers are getting looked after more.
Correct. Yeah. First of all, they really can experience the benefits of your team being really in control. A client is also not waiting for projects to go off rail. So they also want to have an overview of what's happening within the project. Where are we at? Are we hitting the targets that we discussed? So giving them that overview, but also the efficiency of you working on that project, that really is a great benefit for them as well. Correct. Yeah.
Do you think as well, like in the current world we're in, as often people call it the new normal, where a lot of us are still in lockdown, or at least if we're not in lockdown, we're choosing to work from home. That there's even more a need for professional services companies to have this automation and transparency and connection in place than probably ever before when they were just in an office together.
Yeah, correct. Especially since when you're in an office, you can really easily go to one of your colleagues, or maybe he's sitting right in front of you, and you yell something at him and you get an answer right back. And that's how it works in a lot of small companies. I mean, I had teams sometimes with 10 people in one room, and it was all the time people were asking questions. And of course, that whole experience is gone right now. And working together, there's a new way of working together. And having software that enables you to see, okay, how are my deals going in a CRM system, and also how are my projects, and how are is my time tracking, etc., going in PSA software. That really enables you to work together in a more transparent way, because that's also something you want as a business owner. You want to see people are working from home, but what are they doing? What are they spending time on? And can I help them? Not to sit on top of them and say, hey, you're not doing things right, but really to help them become a better employee, become a better person.
The question, I suppose, for anybody watching as well is the fact that it makes total sense, but kind of how easy is it have you found for like traditional companies that are, working on the Excel spreadsheets, doing everything manually, to kind of move to this kind of holy grail, this wonderful world of everything being automated, using platforms like yours, like PSOhub. How easy is it of a transition from traditional to automation?
I would say it's fairly easy if you start small. I mean, I see a lot of companies who want to go all in right away. They listen to this conversation and they're like, wow, what René is telling me is really fantastic. I want to use this. I want to really use this stuff. And that's where things tend to go wrong, because people are going to take it to a next level and make it too big of a step. So, for instance, I'm now helping a marketing organization, and they asked me, René, we want to start automating our funnel to cash. And I said, okay, let's start with your CRM. Let's start small there. Let's let people, the sales team, really experience the benefits. And after a month or after 2 months, when you're ready with that, then let's introduce a PSA solution. And let's not start with all the functionality right off the spot, but let's start creating some projects. And then once we've created some projects in that solution, and we've started working on those projects, okay, let's start introducing the time tracking and the expense tracking. And then afterwards, let's connect this to an accounting software tool to do your invoicing. So what I'm basically saying is create a plan, taking you 3 to 6 months, depending on the speed of you and your team, and also how busy you are at the moment, and really start working towards that. But also look at the costs. There are also people saying, well, I've looked at HubSpot, but I find it fairly expensive. And I understand. I mean, in many cases, if you're going to grow your company, it means you also have to spend money on CRM software. And I don't think that HubSpot is expensive compared to other CRM tools, but they're somewhere in the middle there. But what I always say to an entrepreneur is, okay, but make for yourself the return on investment calculation. I mean, I'm currently paying a lot to use HubSpot, but if I look at my spend versus how much time it saves me in the end, of me having somebody creating those invoices manually, creating those contacts manually, doing everything manually. I mean, I have to hire one person who costs me 30 or 40,000 euros a year, instead of me having a software solution which cost me 10 or 15,000 a year. So the first answer to your question is, look at the steps that you need to take, and how can you really smoothly introduce these software solutions. And the second is, look at your costs. See what will be the benefits, where will you save money. And you'll notice that there's a lot of places where you can save money, because for instance, what we found out is, in many cases, that when it comes to time tracking, people really forget those small hours, those 15 minutes, those 10 minutes. They're at the client, they had a meeting from 9 till 10, but the meeting ran to 10:30. Well, at the end of the week, when you're filling in when you're doing your time tracking, you've already forgotten that you were at the client half an hour longer. And that's how software can help you, because our software, for instance, tells you, hey, Tony, you've been on that location half an hour longer than you expected, than what was in your calendar. So should we build it? And so self-driving time tracking for us is really something that's that's part of the future, and it's really going to enable you to increase your business profitability as well.
It's such an important thing, I think, nowadays, that especially because our business models have changed so much with the impact of COVID, the GFC that we had before. That efficiency is such an important thing. Like, if you can improve just efficiency by 5 or 10% in your organization, it's going to make a big difference. I think I read a blog post, correct me if I'm wrong, a blog post that you had out that used an analogy of using software like a PSA software like your PSOhub, where you could save 100 hours or 100 billable hours, and then if you put that into context of someone's hourly rate times those amount of hours, the actual software investment is probably negligible.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's what I meant with what's your return on investment, because we did some research, and there's been a lot of research out there in terms of what does PSA software enable you to do. And what we saw basically is there are three things that you can save money on. First of all, the admin time, the time that you need to spend to fill out your time tracking sheet, to have it approved, etc. So that normally takes you somewhere between half an hour or an hour per week. Then you have to properly manage all your projects and your contracts, and you have to you have to do a lot of admin stuff, so to say, and that can already save you some time. And then on top of that, those forgotten minutes and hours that I mentioned. So what we found out in an average organization, an employee can spend somewhere between 2 and 2.5 hours a week, or save 2.5 hours a week. And so multiply that by 50 weeks, you're at 100 hours, and multiply that with 7 or 10 employees that you might have. Well, that's 700 hours in 1 year. And it seems as a large number maybe, but I really challenge people to look at the business and look at the way the processes are now currently in place. And I think they can make the business case real easily. That's what we every time again.
Yeah, I think as well, like when you multiply all those things together, those 100 hours per the hourly rate or whatever, it could be the difference between, the tight margin or very, very slim margin that a lot of businesses operate on during these kind of uncertain times, that becomes whether you're going to be profitable or non-profitable just by using your existing resources, but just using them more efficiently.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and that's from an employee standpoint, but also from you as an entrepreneur standpoint. I think it
Mm,
gives you as an entrepreneur, um, uh, yeah, software enables you to really work on growing your company instead of being busy with all those
mm,
admin hours. And that time is also very valuable. And the
yeah.
same goes with your project management and your sales managers. And because, for instance, we haven't discussed this at all, but what you see in many cases is that once the sales team has done their job, they have the deal closed won, then it goes to project management and there is no communication at all. I mean, there's
Mm,
a handover. Sometimes it's just like, hey, I have a new contract here and good luck. But what we really envision is that you have that automatic handover from your CRM to your PSA software. And that you as a
mm,
sales are always able to see what's happening within that project without me having
mm,
to go into a different project management tool. But for instance, what we created now is a seamless integration with HubSpot. And it enables a sales rep to always see, okay, how is the project going for my client? Has there been any budget change? Does it tend to go off rails? How about invoices? Are invoices paid on time? Because if I see that invoices aren't paid on time, then normally there's something not going right. Maybe a client
mm.
isn't so happy with what's happening there. So by creating that whole integration, you're also able to have your sales team and your project management team really closing the gap and working more efficiently together. And that's also something if you talk about efficiency, which is really important to note.
Yeah, I think when using the example of HubSpot there for a second, like, I think a lot of folks, whether they be a marketing agency that's using HubSpot or a business that's using HubSpot or indeed probably any other marketing kind of automation platform there, they've probably got their marketing organized and their sales process organized, but it's that operational thing that they
Yeah,
fall down on. So you
yeah,
can be really, really cool at marketing, get lots and lots of leads and sales
right.
coming in through the door, but how much are you losing in the delivery, in the operation?
Yeah, yeah, and there you can really save that additional time. And
Mm,
it's true. Service organizations are there in many forms. I mean, we help tech companies who build software. We help accounting firms. We help legal firms. We help people in architecture or construction. So it doesn't
mm,
matter what kind of business you have, whether it's a marketing agency or an
mm,
architect. You're being an architect. It really enables you to work on the
mm.
things that you really like to work on, and to
Yeah.
create fantastic websites or create great marketing outreaches, or to create a beautiful building instead of you working on a lot of admin stuff and
Yeah.
yeah, not being efficient at all.
I think one of the stats that I kind of read before I came on the call with you today was a statistic that said 74% of organizations say that they are currently actively looking for new use cases for automation.
Yeah,
And we live in the world, of course, automation can be anything from AI to VR to even robots and all that kind of stuff. But taking
yeah,
a slight angle, what about the stigma around automation? Like, tools like HubSpot and your product PSOhub are helping to promote the wonders of these self-driving tools. But what do you say to those people that are probably a bit, there's a bit of stigma around automation. They want to have their, I don't know, want to run everything manually.
hmm yeah. Um, I think the main reason for that stigma is that for a lot of people, automation um, it asks a lot of you as an entrepreneur, looking at your business and seeing where can I create that efficiency. And when I started my business, I was really used to using Excel and I was really used to working with Word. And
Mm,
somewhere in the process, you forget how much time you're spending on it.
mm,
It feels like, oh, well, I can do my invoicing in 1 hour. And well, what's one
mm,
hour in 1 week? But if you look at it now, I do my invoicing now within 1 minute per month. I mean, everything is automated, so I don't have to do a 1 hour a week. So it's what I'm basically saying is that in many cases, the first pain point is that people don't know how much time they're losing on the actual stuff they're doing. And the second stigma is that tying it all together is sometimes yeah, it really can I see a lot of organizations using 4 or 5 different solutions, which are all tied together in a bad way. They're not integrating well, and really creating that landscape of how am I going to set it up. That's really important. So, for instance, I saw people using HubSpot and then using a tool for project management and a tool for time tracking and a tool for contract management and a tool for invoicing. And all those tools weren't connected properly and they weren't communicating together. And that's what you see in many cases. Automation, if automation is executed poorly, then you won't see the benefits. So looking at the landscape and the possibilities of software, it's very important for you as an entrepreneur to really look at what kind of software is out there and how does it integrate with the things that I'm doing. And the last item that I hear a lot of times is people wanting everything within one solution. And that's and with that I mean that everybody works in a different way. So your process in company A can be different from company B. But if you want to really use automation, then you have to standardize some of your processes, and you have to say goodbye to some habits that you might have grown over the past years. And saying goodbye to those habits is also something that's really difficult for people, because they're like, well, we're doing this for 10 years this way and it's working the way we do. Well, it could be more efficient. But so we're going through those habits is also something that's really important. So thinking from a mindset of automating stuff, it really means that you have to standardize some of your processes, and even you have to say goodbye to some of the habits that might feel well, but in the end don't add up to your profitability.
Yeah, I think change is always the biggest inhibitor of a lot of things, isn't it? It's kind of like, as you said, it's kind of, we've always done it this way, so we're going to just keep on doing it. We don't realize that you know, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, that there's better ways to do it. You know, and I think what you're saying there is automation is not about working any harder; it's just working more smarter on doing everything the right way. So just in terms of PSOhub, how's that going for you? Because it's a fairly new company. You've only just recently become. So how are you finding the take up of the new platform?
Well, it's going very well. We started this company 3 weeks ago. We launched our software, and of course, that period in advance, we already had a group of people testing the software. We had a really fantastic group of beta testers giving us a lot of feedback. Because I think if you build software, that you really have to be in close contact with your end user group. So we launched the software 3 weeks ago. And well, it really took off in a great way. A lot of people can start using our freemium version. So we see that a lot of people are now using the freemium version and really playing with the system. And that's also very important, in my opinion. If you want to go and use software, start using a freemium version or a trial version and see for yourself what the benefits can be. So we currently have a lot of people going into that freemium version. And what's also really cool to see is, as you introduced me, people from 30 countries, so 30 countries using our software. We have people from Japan to America to Russia. Yeah, they come from a lot of places. So what we see is that this topic really resonates with people all around the world, with services companies all around the world. And yeah, you always read about it in research articles that services company all around the world have the same problem, and now we really experience that by looking at the usage of our software. So it's really fantastic. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it sounds like some exciting times ahead for you, and only 3 weeks in, and you've got customers around the world. And the freemium is always a great way, I think, for anybody. It's a real test of the software that, especially for what we were saying before about people that are so used to using the old ways and don't want to change. It's kind of like, well, try it and see how different things could be, because obviously, I would have thought this is the ideal. I mean, you've been involved in a lot of tech growth companies over the time you've been an entrepreneur. So obviously growth is an important part of this. If you don't automate your platform, you're not really built for growth, are you?
No, yeah. Well, of course, we with PSOhub also have ambitions of growing our platform, and we have a roadmap with various things coming up, and of course, the roadmap also depends on what our customers are going to ask from us, our users are going to ask from us. So we find it very important to get feedback from that as well. And yeah, so it's these are exciting times for us. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on the couch, from your couch to ours, from the Netherlands to Sydney, to talk about the exciting world of professional services automation. René de Jong, thank you for joining me from PSOhub.
Thank you, Tony. It was a pleasure meeting you.